after a short while.
It's been a while.
Yeah, a little while. We have to find time for this, but it's still fun to talk about stuff.
Yeah, it is.
We always do. Just don't record half the stuff we talk about. So, I was watching something the other day. It reminded me of when I was a kid, watching the movie Fire in the Sky.
Oh yeah, I liked it a lot, but it was also like really scary.
Yeah, when I was a child, I think I first saw it when I was probably about, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9. Scared the shit out of me. I mean, absolutely scared the shit out of me. And what made it more scary is that, of course, they say it's based on a true story. So that's what we're talking about.
I actually saw it when I was a little older, but it still scared me.
Yeah, it was scary as shit.
Yeah.
It's still scary to today if you kind of think about it.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So, the story is a guy named Travis Walton.
Travis Walton, yep.
Back in the 70s, I think it was 1975.
75.
In Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
He was like doing some lumberjacking or something.
Yeah, he was like
right?
a logger or something.
Yeah, doing some kind of forest type work back in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And, basically, the gist of what's going on is he basically was out there working and one night got, abducted by aliens.
Yeah, he did. He just got taken.
So that was what the story of the movie was about. And, like I said, they say it's based on a true story. So when I was a kid, it was like, holy crap, man. I always thought aliens were going to come and get me right then and there, after seeing it. And of course, the movie's dramatized. How do you say that?
Like it embellishes some things. Like some things they like exaggerate, and some things they put in that didn't occur.
Well, they hype it up. But we've watched some interviews with Travis.
Yeah.
About his actual
Those are very interesting.
Yeah, and actually pretty creepy. And from what I've seen, he stays fairly consistent over the past 30 years he's been telling the story.
Yeah, his story really doesn't change. It's
pretty consistent.
Pretty consistent.
Yeah, usually a liar will get tripped up, especially over that period of time.
Yeah.
So, did it really happen? Did it not happen? I mean, it's up for debate. No one ever really knows but him, right?
Well, I know it's like, for the movie, like a lot of stuff occurred in the movie that he says didn't occur to him in real life.
Yeah, that was all hype.
Yeah, but either way, I mean, it's still scary, know?
Yeah, like I said, even if it's bull, it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, it still is.
So it takes place in the 70s. So 1975,
yeah,
in Arizona.
November 5th, 1975. Is
that when he actually got abducted?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's go a few days prior. So he's working for a logging company.
Mm-hmm.
Was it this like temporary work for him, or is this what he actually did?
I think it's what he actually did. I think it was his actual job.
Okay, so he was, cutting. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about Arizona, but I guess I wouldn't think there'd be a bunch of trees. I always thought it was desert, but whatever.
Do people still do that? Like, do they, like, loggers that work out, like, in forests and stuff?
Well, yeah.
Is that like a...
Where do you think they get the wood from?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
That's funny. I think, remember that show was on TV a couple years ago?
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
I don't know where they were, like Alaskan loggers or some crap.
But it's obviously more, like, high-tech now than it was.
Well, it's still pretty fucking dangerous from what I've seen. Those trees are huge. You can only do so much with a machine. They have to have humans,
Mm-hmm.
But I imagine back in the 70s it'd be even more dangerous. So I guess that's why he was doing it, because it's probably a high-paying job. Because chance you can get killed. And so anywho, he was doing that type of work. And what did he say? He was working like long, like 12-hour shifts, or probably longer.
Probably
ridiculously long shifts. So they were like, they were fairly wore out. But so the story goes, they worked really late one night, or not too late. I mean, it's late, but it was just a long day.
It was really, yeah.
And they all gathered in the truck. Now, there's 7 of them total that was in his group.
7 including him.
Yeah, including him. That was in his group. The movie says there's 5. He says that's not true.
Yeah, he said it was like 7.
There were 7.
Including him.
Now, how did they fit in that old school truck? I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, well, maybe they were in the back of the bed. I don't know. But, of course, in the movie, it kind of shows them crammed. I mean, maybe it was a 4-door truck or something. Anyway, so they're out in the woods, and it's late, and I guess they're going through the trails, and it's him and his group, and they see something off in the distance.
Yeah, so according to what I read, it was like, I think they saw something over a clearing. It was something like 20 feet above some kind of clearing.
Was it a pond, or was it just clear land that had already been cleared?
I think it was clear land.
Okay.
They said it was like over 100 feet away. Like, it was they saw it pretty far.
Right.
But it was like not that high off.
No, but it was bright enough for them to see it and know that something was out there that's not normal.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, of course, we can only go by what he said in our visual images of what we've seen in the movie, which, his said it's about 80% accurate, but a little off. So it was off in the distance. I'd say about, if you're standing from a parking lot to, I don't know, a football, entrance or something, a football stadium.
Probably.
And so it's out there, and they stop the truck, and they're like, what, what the hell is that?
Yeah, they all saw it and they were like, what is that? You know?
Yeah, it's creepy.
Yeah.
Out in the middle of nowhere, late at night.
Mm-hmm.
Something out there. And so it seemed like they dared him, or did he just get off?
I think he just got off and started walking toward it, and they told him not to. They were like, "No, you don't need to get near it."
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea to go towards something you don't know what the hell it is.
But he,
middle of the night,
for some reason, I guess was really curious, and so he started walking toward it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, from what he says, he like a beam of light shot down or something.
Yeah, so he was walking closer toward it. Because it was pretty, at this point, it was pretty close. Because, I mean, you know, like they're only about 100 yards from it, so it doesn't take far to walk 100 yards, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets there, and I think the guys in the truck were, like, yelling at him to get his ass back.
Yeah, they were telling him to come back.
Because, you know, who knows. And so he's, like, looking up at it, and from what he said, it just shot like a beam of light, like almost it was like an energy weapon almost. It hit him, and he remembers it when the beam of light shot him, he like went flying back.
Yeah.
That's what
a lot of force.
Yeah, it hit him with force, like almost like it was like I don't know, like an energy weapon.
Yeah.
But, you know, it knocked him, I don't know how far back. But of course, in the movie, if you watch the movie, the beam of light hits him and it like holds him and all that. Yeah. Does the whole dramatization thing where he's like frozen in time and shit. But he said that was not true.
He said as soon as it hit him, he like blacked
out. He said all he remembers is it's like within an instant, bam, it smashed him, and he went flying, and then that was it. He's blackout, right? Mm-hmm. And then that's where things start getting kind of weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll get back to that in a minute. So what gets me is I think when this happened, his friends got scared, right? Supposedly.
Yeah, supposedly they got scared and they hopped in the car and they left.
They all hauled ass, which is kind of crazy. So they literally left him.
They left him, yeah. So
they don't. I mean, did they see him get sucked up or
that's what
teleport? They never ever came. He never said anything about that.
That's what I never could find when I was doing research.
Yeah, like I was watching some interviews with him, and I never really heard.
He never said really anything.
Well, he said from what he understands, they said they just took off. I guess if you do see some creepy shit, you're probably like, well, it's got him. Let's get the fuck out of here, right? You know what I mean?
So I guess they saw him when he passed out, like when he got thrown back.
Well, it was quick. I mean, this is all in a matter of seconds.
And then when they saw him fall back, they were like, "Oh no, we're out of here," and so they took off.
Right.
So I guess they didn't see when he actually got taken.
I don't know. I mean, it's a weird situation, but
I mean, honestly, if I was in that situation, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I would stick around long enough for that. You know, like I'd be scared and I want to take off, but at the same time, I'd want to like come back to check to see if they're okay. I wouldn't just drop off and not come back.
I mean, no one knows what you're gonna do when you actually have fear when it finally confronts you to the face. You don't know what you're gonna do. You know, these guys probably figured he was done for and they got the hell out of there.
That's true.
I mean, this is all in a split second. They're going to think about saving themselves. You know what I mean? They're not going to go and try to... Because what's the point if they're not going to try to save him? They don't know. They
don't know what that is.
They don't know what it is. If it knocked him like that, they don't stand a chance. So, you know. Mm-hmm. So anyway, from what I understand, they go back into town. They're like all freaked out.
Yeah, and they like start saying like what they saw, what happened.
Yeah.
And
it's a little small town at that. It's like this little...
Yeah.
You know, this little... I don't know what you'd call it. A little goat town, if you will.
It was like a... I don't know if I can pronounce the name right. I don't know. It's Heber, Arizona, or Heber, Arizona. Mm-hmm. So I don't know like how big that.
Well, what was that town called? Snowflake. There's something about Snowflake, Arizona. He was near.
I don't know.
I think that's where it happened.
I know where they were was where they were working.
Yeah, that was in the
Sitgreaves National Forest.
Yeah, that was in the forest.
So
anyways, the point is they go back to town.
Yeah.
And this is middle of nowhere, goat town.
So are they the ones that like reported him missing?
Well, yeah, they went. Well, they told.
The cops, right?
I don't think they reported him missing. They just went and told him that they was having, but the story was so outlandish,
right?
You know, especially to these farmer types, you know, country cops or whatever, sheriff, and you know, of course, even in quick, we're talking about something that happened in '75, so it was probably even more in their minds, crazy talk to talk about an alien abduction or some shit like that. You know what I mean?
If I'm not mistaken, I think. After a while, I think they were starting to suspect.
Well, yeah.
Workers.
So he was gone for a total of 5 days.
5 days and 6 hours, they said.
5 days and 6 hours total before he popped back up.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of exact. I'm just a little weird. But but who knows? Because how long was he actually back in the forest when he showed back up?
That's true.
Okay, so
yeah.
they talk to the sheriff, and this is, I would call it a mom and pop sheriff,
Right?
Out in the boondocks, and they're not taking them seriously. I think they thought they were like all drunk or some shit.
I think so,
because they were drinking. I mean, they were busting their ass. So these kind of guys, they drink after work.
Yeah.
And so that was probably part of the problem why they weren't taken seriously. And so the cop just was like, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But as time went on, and 2 or 3 days later, the dude was still gone.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, what the fuck's going on? Then I think they started suspecting that these guys may have killed him.
Yeah. They thought they did something with him.
Yeah. And they were like, because it's weird. He's like, well, where the hell did he go?
But they all ended up taking polygraph tests, didn't they?
Well, eventually, yeah, they took polygraph tests. And I don't know if this was before or after he popped back up. I think it was after he popped back up. That they all, because, of course, when he came back and he started telling the story, they wanted to see if these people were lying or if this was bullshit. Because, originally that's what the guys were telling the cop. And they all passed, but one, and only one, he didn't fail, but it was inconclusive.
Right. So they couldn't determine.
So they all passed. And this is back in the 70s. Now, there was some people, I don't know what you would call them. They claimed that it was a hoax. What are those people called?
Skeptics?
Skeptics, there you go. They were saying that he had studied, or they had studied how to, beat the polygraph, breathing techniques, and all that crap.
Yeah.
It could be. I'm not saying it's not. Could be. Who knows?
That's true.
But nonetheless, they all passed except for one guy who was inconclusive, so he technically didn't fail. So that was all. Especially back in the 70s, they probably were like, oh, well, the polygraph's the real deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they all passed that. So anyway, days have gone by. And they sent search parties looking out in the woods, and they couldn't find anything.
Search dogs and everything.
Yeah, and I guess they took them back to where it happened. They didn't notice anything. At the time, they didn't really notice anything.
No.
Yeah. Something that did happen in that area later on, some researchers, or I don't know how legit they were, had gone out there over a period of time and investigated the area where the UFO was at. And supposedly, the trees and stuff had abnormally
grown.
Yeah, they'd grown abnormally fast. And trees grow slow. And it reminds me of in Chernobyl when they had that nuclear disaster.
Right.
I remember I read about some Russian people talking about the plants and the mushrooms and stuff would grow huge afterwards, abnormal size,
Yeah.
And so for trees and stuff to start, and they were also saying the trees were huge over there, abnormally fast.
Yeah, they did.
So that would make me think that when this happened over here or in Arizona, the ship must be powered by some sort of radiation.
Yeah.
Radioactive engine or
something,
some kind of reactor.
Yeah.
I mean, they're far more high tech than us, and if somehow the radiation doesn't seem to harm them, and it didn't really seem to harm the environment or nothing. They did say it had a small magnetic field.
Yeah.
The researchers could kind of feel like there was some kind of magnetism in the ground still.
Yeah.
But whatever it did, it caused the trees and stuff to abnormally grow fast.
Right.
Now, is that because of that? Well, who knows?
I don't know, but it's weird that where they said it was, that's where the trees grew a lot faster. You know? But in the trees that weren't affected, the parts of the trees that weren't affected, it was normal.
Right. And it's also the magnetic field that they could feel.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I've heard about with other UFO incidents, the wherever the ship was at, there's always some kind of either radiation or magnetic field left. But they didn't notice any kind of magnetic field at the time. Or no, at the time they did. They didn't notice any kind of radiation at the time. So, radiation is usually a sign that, according to typical UFO, some kind of radioactive field on the ground. But there wasn't none there. Just a little bit of magnetism. What were you going to say?
That always seems to be one of the things that we notice with abductions. Something about, especially if someone comes across the craft on the outside of it, and they somehow get affected by it, if it touches them or blows on them or something, it's always some form of radiation.
Well, I've seen a couple other incidents where people had burn marks.
Yeah.
Like they were legit chemical burn or whatever.
That reminds me of that one man who, I can't remember where he was from, some other country.
Never mind.
But he had gone up to it and started trying to, actually walked up to it. It was sitting on the ground.
Yeah, I saw that with you on Mysteries.
Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and he was started trying to communicate with the craft, talking in different languages, and then all of a sudden the door started like
Mm-hmm.
blowing open, and like a big gust of like I guess it was radiation that blew on him.
Some kind
And
of.
he got actual like marks, like circles.
I remember seeing that.
On
Like
his
the
chest.
grid from the ship or something had burned on him. And
he got
but
pretty
this
sick
did,
from
but,
it too.
but this didn't happen to him, and he wasn't sick afterwards. He was real almost not delusional, but like he was super paranoid. Obviously,
very paranoid.
He was like,
but he was very like
he was
confused.
like freaking out.
He was like confused. Yeah.
Okay, so they're on the search parties and stuff. No one knows. Just dude is missing. Sheriff and them are starting to suspect foul play. Yeah. They're like, okay, these guys probably got drunk and either an accident happened and they killed him, or they got in a fight and they killed him, and they're all hiding it.
Right.
So that's what's going on the Earth scenario. Now back with the dude, with Travis. That night he gets hit with the beam, falls back about 10, 15 feet.
Yep.
Knocked on his ass, and all he recalls he's out. He's out. Right.
Yeah. He
and
blacked
then
out.
he wakes up.
Yeah.
And he wakes up. And he's in the fucking ship.
He's in the ship, and he says he wakes up in like what looks like a hospital-like room, and he's being observed by 3 creatures. He says they're short and they're bald.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like what you would think of when you think of the Greys.
This is the way that he described it. He said they were shorter than him, obviously, and he according to him,
about 4 foot tall.
According to him, he said they were hairless, so there was like no hair at all, not even like eyebrows, like nothing, no hair.
Big heads.
Big heads, yeah.
Almost humanoid like though. This is the thing though. Here's the thing. They weren't your typical Greys that you hear about. Like, yes, they were skinny and small,
right,
and almost weak looking physically.
Yes.
Big heads, but they were about 4 foot tall. But they weren't gray. They were almost like a human color. Almost like they were some sort of hybrid human or like a human from the future. We've evolved.
Right.
Or, a similar species or completely different alien.
But he said that they were human-like, like almost really similar to humans. Same color and everything, but just...
Yeah, like normal hands looking. Yeah. Almost the skin color was kind of like what color were they? They were like well, from when he showed, or when they showed the movie, they were like a beige-looking color.
Right.
But they almost remind me, like, when I look at the skin of it, it reminds me of those geckos.
Yeah.
That are like, that really ugly color gecko you see out in the summertime. They're not, like, colored like a normal gecko. Right. They're like these ugly, pasty, pale-ass.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
nasty-looking fucking creatures.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's where I think of when I see these aliens. At least in the movie, they showed them, and they looked like naked, like almost like a naked human who was really scrawny and had some sort of alien head. Mm-hmm. And clearly they weren't human, but
no,
it was definitely a being.
Yeah.
But he said, now in the movie they showed them just like they're almost naked, almost like these creatures.
Yes.
But from when he recalls,
yeah. So he said that
they actually wore a suit.
They wore some kind of like red coveralls or something. He said.
Right.
So yeah, that was unusual. Usually, like they don't.
But the thing that gets me is he said that there was. So he wakes up and he's in this like operating room on this ship. Nothing he's ever seen before, but clearly he's on some sort of operating room. He's in
some kind of medical
place.
He's
strapped to some sort of table.
Yes.
And there's some kind of substance holding him down. It's not like here where they have to strap you down or whatever.
No, they weren't straps. It was like, I don't know how to describe it. It was kind of like a.
I don't know. There's some kind of.
Like those balls that they have now, like the where you like you air it up and it's like
that stretchy weird stuff.
Yeah, like that weird stretchy stuff. That's kind of what it was.
Yeah, it's like it, but in this case, it's not like it's organic almost.
Right.
It's like an organic material. It's really weird, and he's strapped to it somehow. And the thing was, the 3 creatures that he clearly could tell were not human, but similar. Yes. Those are the ones that were like kind of roughing him up and dragging him around.
Yeah.
But then he said he saw 3 humans on the ship.
Yes, he did.
That makes you think that, okay, these are either humans from the future, humans are from another planet that are working along these creatures, or maybe they're working for these creatures. Because the humans actually started, they were the ones that were like, doing stuff to them, right? They started strapping them down, and I guess the aliens just kind of sat back and watched. Maybe they were kind of learning.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I know he said when he first came to, he started trying to fight them. I think that's when they put that stuff. What he said
on, I heard on the other day, he like moved his arm and he like whacked one of them, and then he was able to grab something off some kind of shelf, threw it at him with mist, And either which way, they got control of him. And the humans, or these human creatures, whatever they were able to lock him down, basically.
Yeah.
And they put some kind of devices on him and shit.
Right.
And the actual creatures sat back and watched. Now they don't ever show that there's humans in the movie.
No,
but in his own words, there was these creatures and then there was these humans. Now my thing is, maybe the aliens were so advanced they're just using some sort of a shape-shifting technique or some kind of suit to, maybe they figured if they looked like him, he would calm down.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, I know at some point, a human, he said it was a human, came in wearing some kind of helmet, and they led him to another room.
Yeah, he was like the main doctor looking dude or whatever.
Mm-hmm. But they said as soon as they took him to another room, he blacked out again. So.
Right.
And after that, I think according to him, he says that as he was blacking out, they put some kind of clear plastic mask over his face or something.
Yeah, that's when they were going to do that surgery. Like in the movie, you see that needle coming toward his eye.
Yeah.
So they're clearly doing experiments on you.
And that's the last thing he says he remembers. After that, he says he wakes up on the side of the highway. Right.
Now, real quick, before we get to that, I will say the movie shows that he's in some sort of honeycomb-like cocoon type deal. Almost like they got these feeding pods or something where they just put their test subjects in. And it shows him coming out. And there's there's no gravity because they're in space, right? So he's floating around inside the weird, almost organic looking shit. Yeah. Really creepy looking.
Very weird.
But he said that's all a crock.
Yeah.
That didn't happen in real life. He said wherever he was at, there was gravity. So my thing is, of course, if these aliens are real, they're not going to be so high tech that they can come here from billions of miles away and can't control the gravity.
Yeah.
Their ship is that high tech. They have their own reactor to create gravity.
Mm-hmm.
And if you recall, I know it's a lot off topic, but if you go back to the whole Bob Lazar thing when he was at Area 51, he said the reactors were somehow created their own gravity. So that would make sense. So Travis said that while he was in the ship, he wasn't floating around or none of that crap.
No.
The whole cocoon thing never happened.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like in the movie where he fell into that other, there was a half tore apart man.
Yeah.
From what the hell happened to him. He said that none of that was all crock. None of that happened. It was just the ship. He was just in the operating. That's all he remembers. The operating room. The ship had gravity, or we don't know if he was. My thing is, was the ship still here at Earth, out in the woods somewhere floating, and it's cloaked, and it was the Earth's gravity. Obviously, because they're being on a jet or something, or was it really in space? They went up in space and they were able to create their own gravity. And my thing is, they can create their own gravity. I mean, they're super high tech. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so funny you say that, because I guess during the brief moments where he was awake and he was moving around or whatever, and one of the things that I found in research I did, he claims that he could see out of the craft.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, he saw out of the craft,
and
he said he could see a huge amount of stars. I mean, lots of stars.
Yeah, he's out in the galaxy.
But he couldn't see any planets or the sun.
Well, you got to remember, the universe is massive. So either they're just out there somewhere when there's just nothing around, because it's huge.
Right.
Or, I think, they're so high tech, not only is it our universe, or they're able to make portals, and they can just teleport to whatever part of the galaxy or universe they want to go. And the part they went to, that's just what it was.
That's kind of what he was saying. That he's like, or
like another realm almost.
Did he go to? Did he get taken to a different solar system, like a different system, or a different?
Because he didn't see
a different galaxy.
But he didn't see stars. So he's clearly still in space.
But he said he saw a ton. All he saw was nothing but stars.
But that doesn't mean he's in our area. Or is this a complete illusion?
It could have been.
And these aliens really, they're just, who knows? Maybe they're in a building. And they just make the illusion of all these stars out there just to kind of make it somewhat familiar for him, or, who knows?
He noticed that there was no planet and there was no sun.
All right.
So he was like, where am I?
Well, the sun wasn't close enough. Clearly the stars are there, but they're farther back, I guess.
So that was interesting, that he said that brief moments that he was able
to... So basically, yeah, he doesn't remember. He remembers they were really rough with him, though.
They were really rough with him, yeah.
But he says when he looks back at it, he doesn't think they were trying to hurt him. They were really trying to learn, I guess, and experiment on him. But the roughness might have been because he's fighting them.
That's what he was saying. He said that in the moment that it was happening, he woke up, he was in pain, and he was scared, and so his first instinct was to fight.
Yeah, and my thing is the thing that gets me, these aliens are so smart. why wouldn't they just knock you out like they do with surgeries here, so they don't have to put up with a fighting human? Mm-hmm. Or do they want to see the reactions? Maybe, I don't know.
Honestly, I don't know. I think part of it might just be the reactions that they get from.
It's just all an experiment to them. Mm-hmm. Or they just so unemotional and heartless they don't care if you know. But then again, if they wanted to, they could really hurt you. But they didn't hurt him that bad. They fucked him up emotionally. Mm-hmm. But he didn't have any scars or anything, I remember, did he? He didn't say it.
The only thing he's remembered having is a scar on his arm. Something happened to his arm, and because on one of the interviews that he did, they asked him if he had been fed anything, and he said he doesn't remember being fed anything at all. But he does remember later on that he ended up with a scar on his arm, and he thinks it was maybe they were feeding him through an IV, or some sort of IV, something with the needle. Right. Because that's the only scar he remembered having.
And that makes sense, too. And you know something else to think about. Because, like I said, he doesn't have a large memory of what they were actually doing to him. But he was gone for 5 days. Our time. What if when they took him on the ship and they took off, it was only, 3-4 hours their time? So there was no need to feed him. Could 3 or 4 hours in their realm or whatever. They get done with what they want to do with him. They pop back up. And even though it's 4 hours there, when they come back here, it's like 5 days later.
Could be.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's possible.
So they drop him back off basically where they got him, right? Back in the woods.
Pretty much, that's where he ended up, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was raining, I think, of course, which is, convenient. And in the middle of the night when I get dropped off, and he's totally jacked up at this point.
Yeah, he is.
He's like all...
doesn't know what's going on.
He's like all wet and shit, too. I don't know if that's because of the rain.
I don't know, but yeah, he was...
Whatever the hell they did to him, he's really, like, lost. He doesn't know what's going on.
Confused, scared.
He's confused. He's freaking out. He's back on Earth. And somehow he makes it back to town, and they're like, holy shit, this guy's alive.
Yeah.
They didn't, so they're okay, well, they didn't kill him. And now this is when all the questions and shit start.
Right.
They're like, okay, so where the hell were you? And then he runs with the alien narrative, just like, well, at first I don't think he really knew what the fuck was going on. They thought he was like drugs or overdosed or ton of alcohol on him. But yeah, they don't know. And so
they couldn't really get much out of him in the beginning because he was just so out of it.
Fucked up.
Yeah.
So finally he tells the story. He comes out, he tells the story, and he's not the same person he was.
No, definitely not.
A week earlier. He's super paranoid. I definitely recommend, if no one's seen the movie Fire in the Sky, you should check it out. Even though it's about 80% accurate according to the actual guy, it's still pretty
good.
Pretty interesting story.
Yeah.
So he's all scared and paranoid afterwards. And I remember him having like flashbacks and shit, and almost like he was having like anxiety attacks, but like he had what is that, PTSD?
Yes,
like legit PTSD from these aliens. And he was telling a story. No one believed him. They had newspapers come in. They were all mocking him and all that.
Yep.
Some believed him, most didn't. They said the sheriff secretly actually believed him, but was afraid to come clean to the public, especially in the 70s.
Right.
Because they would think that he's crazy, or he didn't want to seem like he was one of those cuckoos, if you will.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so even though the sheriff actually believed him, he had to go with
the rest of them, yeah.
So eventually they gave him polygraphs, which we talked about earlier, and they all passed.
Yeah.
Except for the one guy, but that was inconclusive. But I mean, so that right there is like, okay, there's got to be some truth to what these guys are saying.
Yep.
And of course they take him back, and they find like the magnetism on the ground. And years later, the trees, are grown way faster than they should have.
Yes. Definitely have.
And so, they question him. And I think they try to charge him with like lying, like making a hoax.
Yeah.
Or whatever. He was
lying.
And, because, they had to send people out and all this to look for him.
Right.
And so to them, it was like, oh, this is just a big hoax. You're full of shit. Even though every single one of his coworkers were on the same story as him.
Right.
And they said he was getting bullied and, typical asshole stuff, people fucking with people. But he claims to this day that it really happened.
Yeah, it's been like years and years and years later, and he still has the same story, like nothing's changed.
Yeah, it happened in 1975.
I
think he wrote a book about it in the 1980s.
I think he did, yes.
And then they turned it into a movie in like 1993, something like that. That needs a remake with a little bit more accuracy, you know what I mean?
That would be interesting.
I would like that. But, so, he actually just gave an interview a while back, and the story's pretty much just the same as it always was. So
Definitely.
people always look for inconsistencies. There's maybe one or two, but nothing major.
Well, you got to think of,
because 40 years goes by, you're kind of like, wait a minute, let me think. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But still, I mean, and I believe him. I think, that really did happen to him.
Yeah, I think it happened because, he didn't really get rich off of it. I guess he tried to. I guess he made some money off of it, but it's not like...
I mean, why would someone make up something like that, knowing that the way he's going to be treated, knowing the way
because it wasn't, like, if he did make money on it, it probably wasn't until later on.
Right.
They treated him like complete shit. I think he even got... Was he thrown in jail at one point, or...
I think he was.
I don't know, but it was not worth it to me. And,
no.
Yeah, so he's put up with a lot of crap over the years for it. But a lot of people believe him. And there's still a lot of people that say he's full of shit. But
there's always going to be a few of those.
Yeah. Definitely creepy. And, not really... When you see the movie, you're like, this is horrifying. The way he describes it, yeah, it's horrifying in a way because these creatures can pretty much... Like, they do to you what you would to, like, I don't know, a cat. And of course, we're not mean, so we're not going to go and, pick up a random cat and harass it. But we could. I mean, if as humans, we have the power. If we wanted to go out there and grab a cat or a dog, we'd grab it and we could do whatever the hell we wanted with it.
Yeah.
And there's unfortunately nothing that dog can do to stop it.
That's true.
A dog would bite you, but, let's say it's a small dog. You'd eventually get control of it and you'd do whatever the hell you want. You'd shut it down. And that's basically what these aliens are doing to humans.
Mm-hmm.
You can't stop them. If they want you, they're going to get you, and you're not going to be able to do shit about it. Because basically when he was there, he was like paralyzed.
Incapacitated, yeah.
He couldn't do shit other than just, take it. And maybe every once in a while he was able to power up and swing around, but he never had full control of his own body.
Well, that reminds me...
Probably frozen in fear,
Well, that also reminds me of another abduction story. Back, I think also in the 60s or 70s, with these 4 guys that went into the wilderness and... They ended up getting abducted.
Oh, was those the guys that were at the lake? Okay, that's definitely a good one, and that's for another story because that one has more detail than this one.
And it was kind of the same scenario that they got taken and they were trying to fight back and they had no control. Like they were rendered incapacitated pretty quickly.
They almost mind control in that situation because I remember that one. But this guy didn't really say so much about mind control. It was more of
just a physical
dominance. They were just even though they're physically weak looking
and smaller.
Yeah, they're just so other than those 3 that he said look like normal humans.
But I think just the materials they have, the instruments.
Yeah, they're just so high. There's just nothing you can do.
Like that's how high tech.
And not only that the factor of fear. You don't know where the fuck you're at. It's totally it's not Earth. Mm-hmm. It's not normal. These creatures aren't something you've ever seen before. You know what I mean? They're clearly thinking. It's not like you're talking to a bear or something.
Yeah, they have intelligence.
Yeah, exactly. Like a bear is ferocious and scary because it's powerful and could kill you. But you know why? Because it's just big and massive and beast.
Mm-hmm.
But it's what it is. An alien, in his case, this is a small little creature that physically doesn't look like it can do anything to you with its body, but it can do whatever with its tech. And it looked creepy. Yeah, so that alone is like it make you frozen in fear. Probably like, what the fuck is this creature? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah. So that's definitely a creepy little story. And if true, can't say. I think it's true.
I think it's true too.
Yeah.
There's just, it's one thing if he had started saying the story and then it changed over a period of time, like he changed all these different things to it. I understand that. Okay, maybe there might be something going on. But for his story to stay that consistent over so many years.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's either a damn good liar or it really happened.
That's true. But then again, some of the stuff he said is similar to what other people have said in their abduction stories.
Right.
It's similar stuff.
Right.
So there has to be
there's
something going on if all these people are saying similar things.
But then they make the argument, well, you heard it from this person, so you're making your story similar.
Could be.
But you'd have to, I'll be honest, you'd have to be a fool to think this is the only planet with life on it.
Yep.
Come on, man. Get real. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
That's like, the bottom of the ocean. They still don't know what's down there. And that's on Earth.
Exactly.
Like the Mariana Trench. They just found a new species the other day, by the way. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that.
A jellyfish.
Yeah.
Now, who didn't,
That's
who
why
knows
I say,
what the fuck is down there?
Exactly. That's what I say all the time.
So if we don't even know what's here, they're still finding stuff in caves, man. If we don't even know what all is here, you don't know what is out there. And to think that aliens don't exist is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I refuse to believe there's just one planet with
life
not just life, but intelligent life.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the universe is too big for that.
Exactly.
I'm not buying it.
I agree.
Well, anyways, Maury, it was a good chat with you tonight about that.
It was fun.
And we need to get back on the stories again soon. That one story that you're talking about with the campers at the lake with the aliens out is a good one, too.
Yes, that is a good one. There's lots of them. That's one we can talk about.
So the guy was Travis Walton, 1975. Abducted by aliens out of the forest after work. His crew saw it happen. They told the local sheriff. They all thought they were crazy. The guy was missing for 5 days.
Yep.
They did experiments on him and did all kinds of weird shit to the dude. Showed back up. No one believed him. He was crazy. It took him years to get back to normal, by the way.
It did. Yeah, it took a long time.
Yeah.
Even to this day, I don't know if he's really,
Well, from the interviews, he seems normal, but, when he's alone by himself, who knows?
What's going through his mind.
Does he is he scared? I imagine he's probably like, holy fuck, I don't want to be in this room by myself at night. It's dark, and who the fuck is out there? You know what I mean?
And who knows, in the time since this has happened, what if they've come to see him again?
Yeah, what if they're watching him? And what if this whole time he has some sort of tracking device in his body that, our x-rays and stuff don't even notice? Or whatever, you know what I mean?
Well,
and they're watching him. Because it's like a long-term experiment to them.
Well,
and maybe they're coming back one day.
Other people that have gotten abducted supposedly come back with some things.
Oh, yeah, I've seen clips, actually, where they pull, little things of metal, and no one knows that. They're like little BBs or something, and they're like, what the hell is that?
That it's not human, it's not man-made.
Yeah, there's, the metal's not found on Earth. You're like, what is this? Yeah, no one knows what it is.
So it makes you wonder maybe where he had that scar on his arm. Maybe there's something there, and he can't see, he can't feel it, and so it's in there. It's something to think about.
Could be, but something a little bit more logical. I was thinking about the whole scar. When he got zapped with the beam, he probably fell and hit his arm on some sharp woods or rocks or something, yeah.
But you should definitely check out Fire in the Sky.
So anyway, you guys, we've never seen the movie Fire in the Sky. It's based on a true story, supposedly. The guy's name is Travis Walton. Of course, is it really true? That's for you to decide. We don't know. He claims it is. The movie's a little dramatized, but that's how the movies are. But nonetheless, you get the gist of it. Check it out. I think it's on Amazon right now, Prime.
Yeah.
If you have that. If not, you can just rent it. It's a couple bucks. Well, anyways, we appreciate you guys checking us out, and we'll be back sometime, don't know when, with something creature-related or aliens, or Maury might actually do something on her own in her free time about some crime stories or something.
Yeah.
So we will talk to you guys some other time. Bye-bye.